Hey everybody, this is Crinus with day 2 of my Dark Souls Let's Play. Our goal today is to get to the Bell Gargoyles and see if we can take them down. Crossbow fail. At this point in the video, I was beginning to have some minor frame rate issues, but nothing that was too terrible. At least that won't bother me anymore. I'm used to having a much heavier weapon in regards to damage. Not necessarily actually a heavier weapon, but just a much more powerful weapon. And with a two-handed R1, you can actually poise break those guys. But my strength is actually too low, and my weapon was still at only +0, so it failed miserably, and I died for it. I don't do it when I should, but when I was hitting that wall there, that's a perfect opportunity to use the R1 attack instead of the R2, which is an overhand. It's half the reason why I love the longsword. It has so many different attacks. You can avoid things like walls and etc.
Well, now,
Picking up keys and boxes, or a key and the boxes from merchant here. I'll be getting oh, Griggs, I think is his name, unlocked as quickly as I can for sorceries and whatnot. The repair box can be a bit expensive early on, but it's incredibly handy throughout the whole game, really. Maybe not as handy as the bottomless box, but pretty high up there. The frame rate issues start getting a little more severe here. At the time I didn't pay it much mind, though. That was just straight up horrible. I have no excuse. I thought I could dodge back out of the range of that flame, but I should have dodged forward in retrospect. There I am actually using that vertical slice to avoid hitting the wall and bouncing off. Trying to be clever using this cliff here just for giggle's sake, but it's not really working out for me. In case you did not notice, I completely forgot that I had unlocked the ladder from the bonfire leading to the bridge. Um, Pretty close to around. I think actually just before I came onto this piece here, I actually realized it and decided I was too far to actually turn back. I figured at the time I figured it was a pretty good experience anyway, so I wasn't too worried about it. I was pretty nervous about running over this bridge again. I get tagged by this guy a lot, unfortunately. Was trying to bait him into using his fire breath on the bridge early, so I had a better chance of getting across. In retrospect, it would never have worked because he actually has a smaller gap between when he does it after he's done it once. So it actually ended up going quite well, as you can clearly see. I was quite surprised, actually, that he didn't even actually launch at all. He never came down. I had to actually prompt him to do it. Picked up a few extra souls there, and this is a part a couple of people actually requested. I think most people will enjoy this. So I bait him into flying onto the bridge, and then I actually just immediately run between his legs and hit the bonfire. If you don't hit the bonfire right away, he'll actually breathe fire into the room, and it really sucks. You can dodge to the side to get rid of it, though. But what you'll see is happens here is he actually flies off and doesn't come back until you get to unless you actually walk on the other side of the bridge. So I'm free to kill these guys and do a horrible job of doing it, I might add, and then loot everything on the bridge. And it makes everything easier. Assuming you don't want to use the bridge to farm or collect the Drake sword, which I have no intention of doing either. Throwing in a few levels here. One in Vitality, one in Endurance. Pretty straightforward. I'm not too worried about putting more of my cloth armor back on, because quite frankly, it's not going to make a difference with any of this content. Was having some pretty serious frame rate issues here. I was curious as to what the hell is going on. You'll see it start to affect my combat, which will get even worse than usual now. It doesn't immediately show up in the recording, but it starts to get more noticeable as time goes on, particularly when I get over the bridge here. Well, at least the plan was to use the alluring skulls to attract the boar and drop on his head. He actually acts really weirdly to the first one. I hadn't seen him do that before, but... So I end up having to throw another. I get the hit, but it doesn't do half as much damage as I expected it to do. Again, I'm not used to actually using a longsword this early. Usually I don't get a longsword for before the gargoyle fight, actually. I roll dodge straight into the fire, partly because I was dumb, and partly because of the frame rate issues. By this point, it was seriously affecting my ability to play. Still not showing up in the video very much, but the frame rate seemed alright, but the game was starting to run really slow in spite of the frame rate. I goof up pretty hard here due to the walls, not thinking of using a vertical attack. Take a bunch of hits right to the face, and at this point I've pretty much given up. I tried to attack him again, but I was pretty sure I was going to get stabbed in the back. At this point, the combination of having died and the frame rate issues are starting to really frustrate me, and I get sort of tilted. And you'll see it affect my play pretty heavily. I actually considered cutting it, but at the end of the day, it's actually why I started this Let's Play in the first place, was to demonstrate not only Dark Souls, but how even a relatively unskilled gamer could, in fact, get through the game if they understood how it works. Using my soul arrow here because I don't like dealing with him above, and it takes too long to convince him to come below. If you try to deal with him above, you'll quite frequently have to get shot by these crossbow guys. Kicking him off the side turns out to be a major mistake. You'll see why in a moment. Completely missed the boar, and only do minor damage to the hollowed there. I'm trying to dodge around, but at this point the frame rate is abysmal. So I die again. Take a stupid hit there, but then I get the parry, which sort of makes it better. I was actually pretty angry at this point, but I got it under control a little bit later. That wasn't really helping my case, though. Eat the same hit as last time. And get the parry again. If only I could parry the first attack instead of eating it. I was pretty happy with that parry, though. I wasn't sure I could get that one. I've been failing that one for a while now. But then I ate that one to the face anyway, so it just kind of doesn't matter. Decided to take out this hollow with my soul arrow. Then I thought about using the soul arrow on the boar a bit. And it would have worked too. The damage is low, but it's enough that it will kill him pretty quickly. But then I thought to myself that was actually really lame, and it was just going to bug me all day if I did it. So I decided not to. At this point, I noticed I had no more skulls left, so I decided I would have to actually go down and fight him face to face, which is fine. Usually I do anyway. But then the actual speed of the game dropped. The frame rate was still 25 to 30, but the actual speed of the game halved for some reason. I could not figure out why. Later, I realized my media hard drive had actually just capped out, and at least I think that was the problem. I really don't know. At this point, I was actually checking my task manager to see if anything was running that shouldn't have been that was screwing with the game. There wasn't anything there. So I resumed, trying to think of a way to kill him with the game running at half speed. And then he sort of does it for me, actually. Because, you know, he's such an accommodating boss, or mini-boss, I should say. At this point, I decide it's best to go to the bonfire, rest, and cut the video to attempt to figure out what was causing the issue. I ended up moving fraps from my media drive to my solid state, but leaving the output folder on the media drive, which seemed to resolve the issue. It's worth note that my souls did climb slightly, if you noticed that. I did kill a few mobs while I was trying to figure out what was causing the frame loss and game slowdown. It wasn't that many, like 2K or something, I think. Was pretty worried that I was going to die to these weak zombies here, but I managed to come away with like a sliver of health. Almost missed the item there, but caught it while I was moving up the ladder. Almost missed that one too. I'm not sure where I was or what I was doing. I don't think I've ever forgotten this before. I guess technically I didn't this time either, but I got pretty close. Sneaking up on this Balder Knight here so I can backstab him. It makes these fights a lot easier. Picked up Knight Shield, which is a decent shield, but I think my Balder Shield... sorry, not my Balder Shield, that would be nice too, but I think my Hollow Shield is better. Incidentally, I had forgotten I wasn't using the Hollow Shield because I equipped the Dragon Crest Shield earlier for the bridge. I kind of forgot about the Balder Knight there, but I figured I had recovered. Turns out mostly I was wrong. By this point, I felt like I was doing the walk of shame, except that I was, you know, running. And crossbow bolt to the face. I'm still not sure how that hit, actually. I'm reasonably sure I rolled under it, but I keep running past those guys and come after these guys and forgetting that they're going to follow me anyway. I thought that was amusing, the way the hollow that was drinking an Estus actually held up the hollow behind him. Gave me the opportunity to drink. Decide to sneak up on this Balder Knight yet again. I would really like a Balder shield. In retrospect, I should have used some humanity, but I was also dying a lot and less than confident in my ability to actually stay alive. Trying to lure out the guy on the right via hitting the wall. But he's having none of it. So I end up walking out and luring them both. If you're wondering what that was, I was receiving an email on the only application I forgot to mute in my mixer. And that was possibly the quickest death in this whole video. Just lined up badly due to the targeting. I should have dropped the lock and centered myself. You had to know how that was going to go when I ran past those hollows yet again. I had to know. I think I kind of did, too. I was getting so good at parrying his second attack and eating his first attack that I figured I'd change things up and just get owned by him. To say that I was tilted by at this point would be putting it really lightly. Yet was also strangely calm, so wasn't too worried. I figured I'd get it eventually. Got greedy with the third attack. If I had just gone for the 2 attacks and then brought up my shield, it would have worked perfectly. I had forgotten there was even souls down there. Not sure why I decided to hit him with some soul arrows, but it seemed fun. Trying to play around at the elevation there to get in free hits. Wasn't working out well at first, but after a bit there, I sort of got it a little bit. He has basically no health here, which aggravates the crap out of me, and I try to go for a couple of hits and end up taking a hard one right to the face again. Which brings up something I think I mentioned yesterday. Never let your enemy's health affect the way you play. You should always play like as if they have maximum health still. I don't know why, but I have a really hard time actually handling these three from this angle. I'm pretty good from coming from the other side, but from this side I always have difficulties. I was quite happy to finally make it to the bonfire here. Initially, I had thought about doing some leveling, but a better idea had occurred to me. Burning a few soul items to upgrade my weapons, actually. Or weapon, I should say.
Well, I'm on.
At the time, I didn't realize I'd spent too much and that I wouldn't be able to actually afford to use the stones I purchased.
Don't get yourself killed. Not.
Failed at the parry. Got back at him for it by stabbing him in the face. This hollow has pro dodges. I moved the mini tower knight. I'm not sure what they're called. It's just left my head. Maybe Iron Knight or something. I don't recall. But I moved him out here to try to get him in the open and fight him. He's a pretty hard hit pretty early on there, though. I figure I'll just bait attacks and then move back and stab him. Works out pretty well. But then he backs up to the wall and we both do share drinking. It was actually rather amusing at the time. And I run right into that hit. I did not expect him to do a second hit. And then he hit me again, and bam. I'm not entirely sure if it was input lag or if I just didn't hit the button well enough, but I actually had attempted to dodge the second hit, and my character just stood there like an idiot. Round 2 with the big guy here. Figured I'd soften up a tiny bit with the soul arrow, but it did nothing to him. If I could get past his shield, it would have done decent damage, but he was just too good at keeping his shield up no matter where I moved. Was feeling pretty good up until he smoked me in the face there. That, however, made me feel really good. You don't get to use that maneuver very often, the backstep and attack. That actually will unfortunately conclude day 2. I may do some farming for materials to increase the sword. Probably won't show it though. And tomorrow we should take on the bell gargoyles and maybe some other stuff. I'm not sure how far we'll go. Just had a lot of difficulty today getting through, as you clearly saw. Slowed down the progress of the video quite a bit.
Well,
Hopefully it was entertaining, maybe even because of that.
go get yourself. Night.